Hey, welcome into another episode of Halos in the Infield with your host Todd Fox and the other host of the show.
The Lone Star Halo.
What is that hat you're wearing, by the way? That's a pretty sexy hat.
Oh, actually, I wanted to bring that up. So this is the Albuquerque Isotopes. It was a Christmas gift. So our boy Brian Crosby from Marvel, he last year did the whole Defenders of the Diamond thing with Marvel. Remember where they like changed the logos for the minor league teams to be more Marvel-esque? And this was one of them. And I remember looking at it and I was like, you know what? It's kind of cool. It gives me Powerline vibes from the Goofy movie. I don't know if you remember that movie.
Yes, I do. One of my
Yeah,
favorite father-son movies. That movie's awesome.
it was a good movie. Definitely a very good movie.
Absolutely. Well, with that being said, I just wanted to get that out of the way. It's one of my favorite hockey logos as well. The old school Coyotes, and then you got that
Yeah, the
Isotope
Kachina.
hat
Yeah.
custom. Yeah, it's freaking awesome. Well, before we start, we're going to get into the topics of the day or on the show. And one of them is we're going to talk about the stadium experience, how we experienced the Angel Stadium from last season to our expectations for this season post Otani. And then we're also going to talk about, obviously, the elephant in the room, which was Mr. Hicks signing with the Angels. We'll talk about his contract, what we expect from him. And have the Angels signed enough players to total one Otani yet, or are we still far off from that? We'll talk off-season moves and if in like Fernando brought up before the show started, there has been enough time that's gone by in this offseason. We are getting very close to pitchers and catchers, and there is a lot of free agents still out there.
Yeah, I mean, right. Cody Bellinger and Blake Snell are kind of the big names. And I mean, chances are we've been doing this long enough that by the time this comes out, like tomorrow, it's like, oh, they already signed. You know what I mean? That's just the nature of the beast in baseball. But as we record this at my time, it's 9:23 on Monday, January 29th. Those two big names still don't have homes. And I mean, Cody Bellinger was one of the big names going into this offseason, right? It was Shohei Ohtani, Blake Snell, Cody Bellinger. And then obviously Yamamoto was up there as well. Marcus Stroman was kind of number five. But now those two guys don't have homes. And there's a Matt Chapman. That's another guy,
Yeah,
big name. Justin Turner, I believe, also is another one.
yeah, it's quite a few.
Kershaw.
Yeah, quite a few. What is it called? DHs out there looking for
Yep.
homes. Soler, JD
Yep. Jorge
Martinez.
Soler. Yep. Yeah. JD Martinez is good. I heard JD Martinez is getting closer.
Yeah, I can't imagine him being out there very much longer.
Yeah.
Someone's bound to pick him up. So with that being said, let's get started and let's talk about one Mr. Hicks as you want to lay out his contract as far as who's paying him and who's not.
So he's under contract with the Yankees until 2025. While we talk, let me see if I can. I mean, I don't have those numbers off the top of my head. Why would I have Aaron Hicks
Oh,
contract off the top of my head?
I was
But
just
I
saying.
did.
Oh, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna tell you if you didn't have the numbers, I know it's 19 million they still owe him. Yankees.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's all I heard. 19 million.
Yeah, because he only made the league minimum last year with Baltimore. So the Angels are on the hook for giving him league minimum as well. But I mean, he signed a pretty big contract with the Yankees.
Yeah, he did flourish for a couple seasons right there and was supposed to be like the heir apparent and a pretty good player to be out there in their outfield for some time, but just didn't work out.
Spot track isn't working for me.
Oh,
I'm clicking on it. It just says that it's not available. So I don't know. Maybe they're doing some updates to those numbers as we speak because he's on the Angels right now.
could be, but my source was Halo Joe. He said he looked up his contract, so I'm gonna go with that. So if you
Oh
have
yeah, no. If Joe says it, I trust it.
yeah, and if I'm wrong by restating what he said, then it's his fault.
Yeah,
So,
I'm totally on Joe. You can't have it two ways.
but yeah, I mean, what do you think of the pickup? I mean, do you think he can show out this year, or at least because now, I mean, that just makes a even crowded outfield more crowded.
Yeah, so he got 7 years, $70 million in 2019.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a giant contract. I mean, I don't know why they would give him that. Anyway, so last year with the Orioles in God, what was it? Trying to see the amount of games. So he had 269 at bats with the Orioles. He got 68 hits, 8 homers, batted 253, had an on base percentage of 353.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, I would take that. I mean, so here's the thing. What is Aaron Hicks? Is he your Brett Phillips this year,
No,
in your opinion?
I think he's got to be better than Brett Phillips. I think he's sad to say he's going to challenge Adell. You know, if Adell gets that shot again, he's going to challenge him for sure.
Well, he only played 65 games with the Orioles, so you think that there's a chance he could beat Adell out of camp?
Yeah, because if you look at the two rosters, the Orioles had a loaded roster of young talent that are better than Hicks.
It's true.
And Hicks is your prototypical, Urshela for us last year, which is off the bench, give us a game or two a week or maybe three. He's not an everyday guy, at least in their format. Now, if he were to get off to a hot April and beat out an Adele or someone else out that we have in the outfield, I could see him potentially playing almost every day. Because
So here's the numbers that he's projected for. Okay. Let me know what you think. So he's projected 401 plate appearances, 81 hits, 10 homers. He's projected about 234 and have a 333 on base percentage.
mm, um,
Not very impressive.
not very impressive. I would say that would be similar numbers. Yeah, I think that would be something. Yeah,
The 234 is what would scare me.
yeah.
I'm not expecting us to get Aaron Hicks, who's going to be batting 280, but I mean, 234 is pretty low out of 400 plate appearances.
You know what? And what troubles me too, bro, is looking at another one of these first round picks reclamation projects, and we've signed what, two or three so far this offseason alone. You know,
Yep. Yeah. Hunter Dozier being a big one, Miguel Sano being another one that immediately comes to mind.
Yep. So, and that other player that you posted, I forget where he came from, the Tigers or something like that. He was drafted number one
Oh,
in
yeah.
2015. It's like, this guy is 34 years old, almost going to be 35 mid-season.
Yeah. Getting along in the
Um,
tooth.
yeah, we're reverting a lot back to the late 80s, early 90s Angels with a lot of over the hill guys.
The thing that's rough for me is, they continuously say that right now the goal is to go in with this core, right?
Hmm.
Your O'Hoppies, your Netos, Sandoval Detmers, ShamWow, these guys. Okay. And they're like, we're not going to let anybody block these young core members from getting their reps. I would assume Moniak and Adele would also go on that tier. Okay. So, with that being said, do you think a guy like Aaron Hicks truly stops a guy like Adele or Moniak from getting reps? Or is it just he might beat them out of camp? Let's just say he has a good spring training, but you think nature will work itself out come May and, Adele and Moniak will be playing every day come, May.
I think you'd be right on that. I think at some point they would beat him out. The cream would rise to the top. The only thing that scares me is with Adele having so many things being put in from, I think a lot of it was him being drafted too young, not being able to develop, go through the minor league system, being pumped up, the heir apparent, and then the letdowns, the injuries, the not being able to deal with social media or the fans, everything that Adele has had to do. What if he's finally fixed into it? And I've seen it on other teams and other players that for some reason something clicks after 35 or around mid 30s and they just go on a 2-year tear before they fall off. What if Hicks comes on a tear when Adele's finally figured it out, and this is just another thing for him to overcome, but he can't do it because the
He doesn't get a
logical,
chance.
yeah, the logical thing to do for a GM on his way out is be like, hey, I got to play the hot hand. And what if Hicks
Of
is the
course.
hot hand?
Yeah. Okay, so let me ask you this about Joe Adell, since you brought him up. True or false? 2020 ruined Joe Adell. Keep in mind, that was his rookie season. Because he got brought up there and thrown in the line of fire in a short season, that is what ruined Joe Adell.
I would have to say yes, true. That has to play a big part because again, the minor league system was completely closed at that time. So even when they sent him down, he had nowhere to go, nowhere to play.
So in 38 games in 2020, He batted 161 with an on base percentage of 212. I knew it was bad, but I didn't know it was 161 bad. I mean, that wasn't in my memory.
I forgot
Okay,
about that.
so yeah, I didn't think it was that bad. 2021, he had a batting average of 246, on base percentage of 295. So on base percentage was starting to trend in the right direction. You're starting to get towards your 300. You want to get on base at least a third of the time, right?
Hmm.
333 on base percentage, like great. Anything better than that, amazing. But that's kind of where you want to be, generally there. You're
Hmm.
getting on base a third of the time. 2022, this was his biggest sample size. In 88 games, 224 batting average, 264 on base percentage. And his power never really materialized either. He only got 8 homers that year.
Mm.
But he struck out 107 times in those 285 plate appearances. That is way too damn high.
Yeah, that is too high. I think he's had that long swing that we've all dreaded too. You've seen players that have like, you could throw Bellinger in there that we talked about earlier. Other hitters that, I remember Josh Hamilton's swing was long. Yeah, if you connect, you're going to hit it far, but and these guys don't shorten up their swings. And it's been sad though, bro. I don't know if you've seen it. At times Adell can be very patient, but he seems to get very aggressive, and then that's when his swing just becomes real wild and real long.
Okay, so Joe Adell, you know, since we're going to slowly start tying this back to Aaron Hicks,
Mm-hmm.
what do you do with him if you're Perry? Let's just say he comes out, he has an average spring training. Mickey Moniak comes out, has an average spring training, and so does Aaron Hicks. None of these guys are taking the world by storm, but they're batting about 260, 270. They're taking their walks, all average defense.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you taking? Who are you cutting?
I think you have to ride with Adele, give him a fair shot. I think he's got to help you, and you got to help him. Meaning, if he's like, so let's see, those guys are average, and the team is starting to tread towards not making the playoffs by June, and you're getting within about a month of
Man,
the
June, that's a deep playoff run for this potential team.
yeah. Well, I mean, if it looks hopeless by then, and you're seeing that, yeah, Adele's giving you at least numbers to where you could package him. I think the right thing to do for the Angels to Adele would be to package him, even if you've got to give him away for essentially whatever you're trading, as well as a throw in. I think that's the best thing you could do for him is to give him a fresh start somewhere else and just be like, hey, man, we tried or it just didn't work out here. Because I do believe he can be one of these players to flourish somewhere else. I just, you know, I'm sad because I'm again like we're Angel fans first, and we would love for these guys to tear it up. Like if Squid was an amazing player, I'd be Squid fan number one, but he just was dog shit and had a dog shit attitude. So that's why I didn't like the guy. But an Adele kind of guy, like I know he's got it in him. I know he's got the dog in him. It just might not be shown here.
Okay, so you're kind of hoping Joe Adell maybe in a world where he doesn't work out as an Angel gets a Mickey Moniak situation elsewhere. He goes
Correct.
somewhere, and once Mickey Moniak, now that he's been here with the Angels, we've seen some very good flashes of Mickey Moniak. Yeah, and here's the thing. You would assume that we don't like Joe Adell. On the contrary, unlike your fiance, I like Joe Adell the person.
Yes.
Joe Adell, the player, looks, he's fucking sick. Like he's the kind of guy you'd probably invite to your party. Seems like he'd be the life of the party. Seems like he'd be a fun guy to like play catch with.
Mm-hmm.
But with that being said, he hasn't been able to get it done on the field. And that's why it's like you kind of get resentful towards him getting opportunities. I want him to get a legitimate shot because I like watching him play. You see the flashes when he's in AAA. He hits bombs on bombs on bombs in AAA. Seems to have some good defense in AAA, but he seems to be a 4A guy. When he gets to the show, he can't put it together. He plays a game with passion. And I never once looked at Joe Adell and been like, that guy doesn't want to be here. He always looks like he wants to be there. Nobody can say that this guy isn't putting in an effort. You can say that about guys like Rendon all the time. The writing's on the wall. He even admits it, right? The season's too long. And then you see these videos of Joe Adell freaking jumping through a flaming hoop that's on fire while freaking deadlifting 6 Honda Civics on his back, all while he jumps on top of like a 30-inch mat. You know what I mean? Like this guy is like CrossFit Jesus. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
But
mean,
that stuff doesn't help him play baseball, unfortunately.
yeah, he's a freak of nature. I mean, I'm pretty sure if he wanted to play football, he'd be a dangerous wide receiver or a linebacker. I mean, he's got it in him. But like, I think,
Or a corner.
yeah, corner, yeah, definitely, or safety. He just like this year. I noticed a lot his defense. He went from being cocky in the outfield, where he's made errors to where a routine fly ball to him, you're just like, catch it, but um like that improved. He's not, letting the ball go off his glove over the fence, between his legs. So that improved this year. But there was still like it just seemed like he was dealt a bad hand, bro. I don't know if you felt the same way because it seemed like when he was starting to hit and also drive the ball a bit, he gets hurt again with the oblique, and he had no timetable for a return. By the time he came back, nobody cared.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to not give him the injury prone label
Mm,
because he really hasn't given himself a fair shake. 2020 is a wash. You can't blame him for that. Kid had to come up in the middle of a global pandemic. And besides that, like you said, it just keeps being injury after injury.
yeah, and a guy like Hicks, you kind of know like what you're gonna get. I think the projections you brought up are not going to be far from what he's going to do. Like I said, he might hit a few, like 4 or 5 more home runs. Like Mustakis wasn't predicted to do anything with us, and he had a nice little breakout year. He's a
Sure.
wily veteran, so it could be a year like that for him. I don't think he's gonna be a leader of any sort, but I do think that he could provide some pop and some occasional hits and some rest for some of the starters. But again, we haven't gotten into any free agents that are an upgrade from any of the players that are currently on the roster.
Well, breaking news, you heard it from Todd. The Angels have not replaced Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
Okay, so Aaron Hicks, I know it's a very underwhelming signing, right? I mean, it's like when you were a kid. Well, no, that's a bad example. I was gonna say when you were a kid, like your parents brought home McDonald's. It's like, meh. But I mean, back when you were a kid, McDonald's was lit, right?
Oh
I'm
yeah.
trying to, I'm trying to think. Okay, it's like you go to Disneyland, right? Okay, your parents decided to take you to Disneyland as a kid. That's one of the best things as a kid, right? Oh, we're going to Disneyland, hooray! Okay, but all you're allowed to do the entire day is ride the carousel. It's like, I mean, it's better than being home.
Yeah.
Whatever, I guess. I mean, after a while, you're gonna get bored. So it's like Aaron Hicks. It's like, I mean, I guess it's better than nothing. Like, I don't think the Aaron Hicks contracts hurts the Angels,
Mhm.
but it's like riding the carousel day. It's like, it's fine, I guess. It's not that great. I kind of want to go on like the Matterhorn or something.
Or
You know,
it's,
I
or it's like if your parents said, "Hey, we're going to go to Disneyland this summer," and then you wind up at Boomers.
Hey, to some kids, man. So boomers might as well be Disneyland. Hey, that's why you like gotta like convince your kids, like, hey, we're going to Disneyland, and you take them like boomers, and you buy them like a pair of mouse shoes or something, like the neighborhood Dollar General. And like hopefully like they don't get a concussion from like how tight the plastic's gonna be like on their skulls because it's a Dollar General.
You take one of those headbands for the girls and just like take those small paper plates, glue them onto the top, and paint them black.
There you go. No, now it's all about like the characters. You got to paint like the character.
Oh,
I
there
mean,
you
what's
go.
a big character? I mean, I don't know. I mean, for
Oh man,
Todd's age,
the
he's still probably
you can put the
Mandalorian.
Mandalorian. Yeah.
I was gonna say at your age, you probably still think like Lady and the Tramp's relevant.
Hey,
That
the Fox and the Hound, baby.
was a good movie.
Sure was. Uh,
Okay, so Aaron Hicks, where are you on the signing? Honestly, I don't hate it. I mean, it's a meh signing either way.
oh,
But
it's a C down the middle, bro.
yeah, that's where I am. I mean, you could be surprised.
Hmm.
You might not be surprised. But at the end of the day, I don't think this signing hurts the Angels at all. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, there's really not. I mean, at this point, I think we talked about it last year and every year that we've done this show is the fact that we would have loved to see more contact hitters. Now, not saying that Aaron Hicks is a contact hitter because you brought up all the strikeouts and stuff like that, but he does have a good eye, so he can work some walks. That's definitely needed. So if we're signing players like that, we're not signing the Solaires, we're not signing the big power hitters like Bellinger. I'm good with that if we're signing guys under the radar who get on base.
Yeah, I mean, Perry really thinks he is Billy Bean.
Yes.
Yeah.
And speaking of Perry, I think that was one of our other topics. Um, the jury's still out, and he's got some more times the jury has time to deliberate and have their final answer, which I think we're going to do once we do the preview show, as you brought up in the pregame.
Uh-huh.
We're gonna talk about everything Angels and what we expect moving forward, organization all the way up and down. But with that being said, so far you brought up a good point. Let's talk about Perry, and has he done enough to justify maybe an extension of at least a year to 2 years from what he's had to go through since inheriting this job?
Look, man, it's so tough, and this is gonna feel like a cop out answer, but like I really want Angels fans to listen to this, like it because it's hard. This team still has Billy Epler's fingerprints all over it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about it. Taylor Ward drafted by Billy. You know, Detmers drafted by Billy. Sandoval, Renjifo. These are guys that were traded to the Angels. So it's like, he re-signed Trout, right? He's the reason why Trout's still here, and I understand he's also the reason why Rendon's still here. But these are all moves that the Angels, in theory, are still benefiting from, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, you have those pieces. The bullpen is all Perry. Silseth, Perry, Canning's another Billy Epler guy. But you have the young core, your Shanuel, your Ohapi, Neto, Moniak trade. These are guys who are theoretically part of your core, right, for years to come. And those are Perry guys. So it's like, I don't know. We really haven't seen a lot of these guys that Perry drafted get an opportunity to come and prove that they belong in the majors. Kai Bush was almost there, got traded. Yeah, you got lucky with Neto, Shanuel, that those guys were drafted and came up and immediately produced. Say what you want about, yeah, they were properly scouted. Okay, sure. But there's a lot of luck in drafting someone and immediately bringing them to the show.
That's so true on so many levels. By the way, did you hear about Trey Cabbage being designated for assignment?
Yeah, I forgot to make the post about that. We got a tweet and I was like, oh yeah, because I saw it. And it's like I liked Trey Cabbage and I liked what I saw, but also like his name wasn't big enough where like it's like show stopping, work stopping news. I have to stop in the middle of work. Cause you know me, I'm pretty quick on those graphics when breaking news hits.
Absolutely. Now,
James Malou will like send us, stuff in the group chat, and like 9 times out of 10, like my brother already made a graphic.
well, let me ask you this: 4A,
Uh,
true or false? Trey Cabbage.
yes, true.
Hmm.
And it's a shame because I like him.
Me too.
I like him. Another one of those Joe Adell kind of guys. I want to like him because he has fun. He looks like he wants to be there. And, if there's a way we can bring him back on a minor league deal, hey, I would love that.
Yeah, defensively, he was rock solid. When he connected, he was good.
Yep.
I just felt his swing was a little wild too. Man, he reminded me a lot of a left-handed Brandon Wood, dude. Like just a crushing it in Double A and Triple A, and he comes up here and he can't hit the broadside of a barn. So yeah, that sucks. But I mean, he had his chances. I mean, especially
Really
last
do.
year. He had every opportunity to take the bull by the horns. That's why I was really upset with Adell getting the oblique because that was his shot last year as far as like really putting pulling his weight as an Angel, and he didn't do it. But getting back to Perry real quick, one other
Yeah.
question: is he the fall guy this year? Say for instance, the Angels get off to a bad start, as probably be predicted to. And let's just say final year of the contract, you know, looking to get rid of some of the blame. Do you think they pull the trigger and fire Perry?
If I'm already, I would right now, just this second, I'm giving Perry a 1 year extension either way, no matter what. And the reason for that is because Ron Washington's here for 2 years. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is Perry's first chance to hire his, seemingly his guy. We don't know that for a fact, but sorry, I like breathed in for a second. You know, like when you're talking and you just take a gulp of oxygen. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
so we would assume that this was a Perry hire. Who knows? Maybe we'll find in the future that it was an already hire, kind of like the Joe Madden thing. But assuming this was a Perry hire, just give him the extra year so him and Ron Washington are here for the same amount of time. Because once Ron Washington's contract is expired, you can then figure out what the course of direction is. Is Artie even still here? And then you could really figure out what's going on.
That's a really good explanation because I do think it would be unfair if he were to be fired. And again, you're tied with Ron Washington if he's your manager or not. And what if he's not, like you said? What if that's another, hey, unfinished business? If it's his decision, that's another manager that Perry was never able to sign himself or put in place. And so in my opinion, he's never really had a true legitimate job or shot at GM. So, and the thing of this, dude, he's had to take up after what happened with Epler and the failures there. And now he's trying to fix or come after the Ohtani era.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? No matter what happens, one of Perry's biggest things that he'll always be known for is the guy that lost Shohei.
Yep.
Because, in 10, 15, 20 years, you're going to tell me like, hey, man, what's the first thing to mind when you think of Billy Epler? Bringing Shohei Ohtani over from Japan, signing Mike Trout to a lifetime contract. Even if Mike Trout gets traded and ends his career somewhere else in this hypothetical world, he's still convinced Trout to sign a lifetime contract. And making one of the best trades we've ever seen, getting Andrelton Simmons for nothing.
Yeah.
Sean Newcomb, Eric Ibar, two guys that really didn't do too much with Atlanta. So, what's going to be Perry's legacy?
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, like,
losing Ohtani is going to be a big one.
I think it's
and besides that, maybe drafting guys and immediately calling them up.
Yeah, I mean, it's all gonna, like, even if he were to get fired, like, it would be how many of those pitchers that he drafted are gonna come through in the next couple years, if at all. And then what's the legacy of the players he did draft, which are very few that have made the roster. It's gonna be tough, man. I really don't see any kind of change until, like you said, the ownership is gone or gets changed because it's hard to know, and because every time we think we know what's going on, we get thrown another curveball or another thing that just gets our head spinning like, oh my God, I can't believe it's that bad.
Yeah, there's a lot. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, I mean, there's a lot of people that hate the previous general manager and including this one as well and throw everything on him, but it's like you gotta start at the top.
There's just a lot of stains in this Perry era. And by that, I mean, think about this, right? So we already mentioned Ohtani.
Yeah.
Okay. What if that Brandon Marsh trade didn't work out? Because so far it's worked out for us. We got Logan O'Hoppe, and he's done well so far. But, like, that's a big swing, right? You're losing a guy who is very controllable in the outfield, who could have been part of this young core.
Mm-hmm.
You essentially, gave up on him to get Logan O'Hoppe, which is fine. We didn't really have a catcher, but you also got rid of Kai Bush and Edgar Quero for free. Got nothing. That's a giant stain. I'm going to think about that when Perry's time here is done. There's some positives that you could take out of the Billy Epler era. Like I said, Andrelton Simmons was one of them. The Patrick Sandoval trade, we seemingly have gotten a decent amount for that. I mean, Sandoval's always had potential.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got Luis Renifo kind of out of nothing. I mean, he's been a key bench piece. You know, sure, he hasn't been a giant piece to the puzzle, but did we really think it was going to be? Luis Renifo is what he needs to be. He is a stopgap kind of guy for a week or two. Someone gets hurt. That's what he should be.
Yeah, I think too, the one thing that gets left out is people don't realize as an organization, you can look at that Diamondbacks logo on the TV screen behind us. And what that reminds me of is the fact that they built a plan. They had a plan. They weren't going nowhere. They weren't treading water. They were terrible. They decided to put in some sort of culture, the right managers, the right motivators, the right players, from top to bottom. Everyone bought in. And I think that's something that has not been here since Disney. There's no buy-in. There's no agenda. There's no course. There is no stay the course because there is no course. You're on a ship with no what was it called?
Ship with
What's
no
that?
captain?
No, the east, west, south, north, the compass. You're with no compass. You're not. You're just out there floating. And I think that's what the Angels are doing. They're just out there floating, and you're gonna be as mediocre as that compass-less ship. And I think that's where we're headed because these kind of moves are just crying for desperation of, hey, we're just filling a hole. We think we're filling a hole. Like I don't know if I have a job tomorrow. You know,
Yep.
it's one of those type deals.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you about not having a sense of direction. We've said that so many times on this show. I mean, there's really nothing else you can't say. We've said it so many times.
Yeah, and I was just trying to feed into your point. It's like, at least with Epler at his time, you kind of felt you were doing something. Perry's kind of like like I said, just trying to stay in the lines. And sometimes you could see a rhyme and reason, like you brought up that first trade, and then the others you're like, why?
Yeah.
Why are we doing this? So yeah, so the jury will still be out on that. We're definitely going to talk about that the closer we get to the startup of the season,
Of
and
course.
February 5th is going to be a lot more content, so we'll get more and more into baseball related things. But first, before we our last topic of the show, how was your stadium experience? I know you're out in Texas. You only came out for a couple games last year.
I think I went a 3 at the Big A.
Yeah. Compared to other years, what was your experience overall? I know you did the whole walk around the stadium and everything. How was that for you? What did you think?
Angel Stadium is an interesting place. Now, I'm always going to view it from the eyes of a fan, right? I mean, when you're a true diehard fan of a team, it's always going to feel like home. So, I mean, let's throw that out there. There's always going to be a bias no matter what. If somebody comes up to me and, they're a fan of a team, they're like, hey, this place is a dump, tear it down. I'm beating their ass to the ground. Like it's over, right? Like it's on site. We're throwing hands, but it's true. I mean, the Big A is a dump.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, hey, nobody can say that except me. You know what I mean? I'm sure you feel the same way. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If you have a buddy who's, a fan of the Cincinnati Reds and they're like, Todd, Angel Stadium's a dump. You're gonna be like, hey, shut up. Only,
Okay.
I can talk trash about this stadium. But I mean, the stadium experience has always just been lackluster with the Angels. I mean, we're a far cry away from a true game day experience. Like you go to other stadiums and they have like the games for like the kids, like, oh, they have those screens or those like little like the little catcher dummy, and the kids have to like throw the strikes, and it has a little, oh, you threw like 55 miles an hour, the speedometer.
Mm-hmm.
Like we don't have a little kids area. We don't have a little wiffle ball field. We don't have a playground for kids. They pride themselves on a family atmosphere, but like they don't really go out of their way to create anything special for families. I think this was the first year, at least in a long time, that they've had a like in stadium host on a microphone.
Yeah. Yeah. And they actually showed a DJ a couple times. It was weird because, going back, I mean, the last couple of years we complained because it was the same script from day one of opening day through the end of the season. And you go 81 times or you go 20 times, it becomes very monotonous to see the same kind of, commercial breaks, the same kind of like, hey, the ice creams are running the bases, the hitting ball under the hat trick. It's just the same mundane stuff. They never really got into changing anything up unless they brought in a band or two here and there. Same country week. Just a lot of terrible ideas. We've always knocked the Angels for their stuff. But one thing I want to tell you, and from my experience, Fernando, is back in the day when Anaheim first did their remodel. I remember Dodger fans, they hadn't touched that stadium, and it was in the decrepit stage that, in the McCourt era, that the Angel Stadium has fallen into. It was cracking. It was old seats, nothing spectacular about it. And I remember Dodger fans being like, "Man, I love Angel Stadium. It's beautiful. Not only is it the people nice, I don't worry about getting my ass kicked, but the experience is good." And it was from most of the 2000s. Now the script is flipped, and Dodger Stadium is now the place to go. They've got so many good rows of seats and bars, and it's been revitalized as, the Mecca right there. And then Angel Stadium is behind the times.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much that the stadium's missing now. Like baseball's evolved, right? There was a time where you just went to baseball games to watch the games. And no matter what, I'm always going to be that type of fan. When I'm there, I want to watch the game. But baseball has just turned so social now. Yeah, they have a little Budweiser patio, and in left field they have, I mean, what is it now? The Modelo porch? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Modelo Corona, whatever it's going to be tomorrow. So, and that's kind of really all they have. And they have Chorus Light, they have those like tables, and I guess like those areas are fine. But aside from that, there's really nothing else that makes the Angel Stadium experience like special. I know recently where the Hall of Fame store is, right behind home plate on the second deck there. I guess you can call that the main concourse because you can walk around the whole stadium from there and still watch the game.
Mm-hmm.
That area, they added like those like jerseys and stuff like that, like mementos from Angels history. And I like that.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, because I like how like Petco Park, they have like the Padres Hall of Fame there. Yankee Stadium, they have Monument Alley or whatever they call it. I don't know. New York sucks. But they have these places where you can go there and just view pieces of history. I mean, the New York Mets had the same thing. So I'm glad that the Angels finally have something. I would really hope, though, that if they ever get a brand new stadium, they truly get like an Angels Hall of Fame, not just a little like, thrown together slab. But it's good for now. At least it gives you something. They have the giant Trout bobblehead, the giant Trout Ohtani. Like, okay, I understand they're trying. They have the Don Julio Club. So it's not like they're not doing anything at all. It's not like it's Oakland. Where like Oakland, like, all they have is the treehouse out of left field.
True. But they have been recently the food trucks, which they hadn't done before.
That's true. Yeah, like in right behind home plate type of thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, at least they're trying too. But it's like, I don't know. I just feel like there's something missing at Angel Stadium.
I agree. And as far as what you brought up with the history, like it's bothered me that they have that stuff in a way because you have all that history. You have the posts that have player profiles on them and what they did, showing them when they're actually playing back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and even before that. Yet you don't sell any of their merchandise. So you're right,
especially on the Hall of Fame store.
Yeah, you're right there propping up all these players, yet you can't find any of their gear in the damn stadium club. One thing I want to ask you too, related to the stadiums. Now, you've been to how many stadiums in Major League Baseball?
17, 18.
So 18 out of what, 32, right? Or 30?
30.
Okay, 18 out of 30, so more than half. If you had to pick right now or put them, you don't have to rank all the teams, but where would you put Angel Stadium in those 18 stadiums that you've traveled to?
Probably like 12, 13, maybe 11. You know what I mean? Like it's fine. That's what it is. It's fine.
Yeah, that's sad. This is coming from someone, I believe you went to Tampa, right?
Yeah. I mean, Tampa's the bottom. Like I just said that actually on the Unfiltered Sports Network. I was talking to my friend. I was like, I'd rather go to Oakland than Tampa.
Wow.
It's true. It's like, because it's like Tampa's depressing because it's a dome.
Yeah.
You're in one of the most beautiful places in the continental United States. St. Petersburg's a beautiful town. I don't know if you've ever been to St. Pete.
No, I have not.
Okay, yeah, beautiful town. I mean, if you're in the right part of St. Pete. And they don't like take advantage of the fact like that there's no views in there. Like I understand it's a dome, but like even when you go out to the concourse, it looks like a conference center. It looks like the Anaheim Convention Center on the inside.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, because Anaheim Convention Center on the outside, beautiful, right?
Yeah, yeah. But
Beautiful
there's
on the
not,
outside. The architecture's cool, yeah. But when you're inside, it's just a bunch of empty halls.
yeah, it's plain as day. It's
Yeah,
plain.
it looks like a mall, maybe.
Yeah, an empty.
Nothing crazy.
Yeah, at least you have the devil raised in the outfield, right? The
Yeah, that's cool. That part's cool. During Royal Rumble, I was hoping like freaking like Roman Reigns or somebody was gonna like come out of like the Stingray tank. I was hoping was gonna happen. It never did.
Damn. Yeah, or maybe a guest appearance by Steve Irwin. Too early?
Oh, too
Sorry.
soon.
Too
Too
soon.
soon.
Too soon.
Yeah. It's been like
Uh,
20 years. It's too soon.
yeah, too soon. But no, I think that's sad. You stating out of 18 ball clubs and you're a true baseball fan, you grew up an Angel fan, um, and for you to rank it right there just goes to show you, as a hardcore fan, it's hard because I'm the same way. Like I've completely, as far as even California, I put it towards the bottom of the list, with Oakland, just above Oakland. But on the West Coast, I mean, stadiums, but I've been to, some stadiums, not as much as you haven't, but even minor league stadiums, it's like I've been to a couple minor league stadiums that blew me away. Like St. Louis has a baseball, Major League Baseball feel to it, and it's just part of it is the culture has changed as far as winning. I mean, you can make any place great if you're winning,
Yeah.
but for the most part, I think when you're losing, you see all the cracks, you see all the divots, you see everything, the warts. And I think we're beginning to see a lot of that with Angels.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what they do with Angel Stadium. Like, my whole thing is like, I don't think they want to put a lot of money into it because the hope is still that they're going to get a new ballpark.
Correct. Correct.
And Artie was trying to buy the land and he did for a second. And then the FBI was like, you're like that one meme. You sure about that? You sure about that? That's really what happened. But I mean, we should definitely do a deep dive one day into like the eras of Angel Stadium. Maybe we'll bring Halo Joe for that since he is our resident historian. We should bring him to really talk about the eras of Angel Stadium.
Yeah. And I think what would have been perfect is if you were out here still to where we can go to a game and each night maybe take or do a series like you wanted to do. I know Fernando's been trying to do this on the podcast for a while as far as trying each place in Anaheim and kind of giving a grade towards outside food and if it's worth being a stadium buy when you go
Oh
to
man, yeah, I've been wanting to do a food episode for years. I keep pitching it, we just never do it.
Exactly. And one of these days, but that's a problem, bro. It's gonna take you to be here at least like a week and us do like,
That's
you
fair. Yeah.
know, because I mean it'd get quite expensive if we did one night of just going from one place to another.
And we need to get that's what the sponsors are for.
Yeah, exactly.
Today's episode is sponsored by Rocket Money.
This
By
is a
Morgan and Morgan.
this is a 714 tickets, Big A burger.
Yeah. Well, hey, come on, Ron Holt. What are you trying to buy me? Let's go. Some yogurt land.
Give me some of those cookies that are $40
Oh,
for a container.
man, Kathy's cookies, man. I will bathe in them. So
Oh, yeah.
good. So good. Yeah, I'm wondering if there's going to be any new stadium food because I definitely want to make it out to a couple of games this year. I don't know how many, but I'd like to make it out to a couple. I will say, last year I went out to 3. I don't think that was that bad considering I had to fly out there, everyone. So maybe I'll go out there for that Logan O'Hoppe bobblehead, maybe some of the Trouts. We'll see.
Yeah, if you can make it out to a couple, I think what we should do is make it a point to hit up these spots in the stadium, especially like your well-known only stadium food providers, and then me, you, and James, because I know the chair would like to get in on that too, and we could do
Okay.
like a best 2 out of 3. If we dig the item that's supposedly popular or good, then thumbs up. If not, thumbs down. That type of deal.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool if we had like a little segment where we go around and we're like, hey, I'm here with My name's Octavio. Hey, Octavio, what's your favorite food? You know, I like the helmet nachos. All right. And now we go try the helmet nachos. I think something like that would be cool. Like, oh, I'm Little Sue. I like LA rotisserie chicken. Okay. And now we go, then we try that. I feel like that'd be something interesting, right? You
Yeah.
let the people decide what you order and you kind of go from there.
Yeah. Yeah. Because one of the most debated things that I've heard from Angel fans as far as the food is some people love the chicken tenders. I forget what spot it is in the Anaheim Stadium, and some people dislike them. They say that they're worse than microwave, but it's either a love-hate relationship with those chicken tenders.
I think they're fine. I think they're fine. I remember they used to have a restaurant called the Big Cheese
Okay.
on the third floor on the third base side, main concourse, and that place used to be pretty good. I remember they used to have a place called Angel's Wings. That place also pretty good. And I'm saying pretty good for stadium food. The only stadium food at Angel Stadium so far that I've tried, besides Kathy's cookies and stuff, I'm not counting that stuff because those are outside vendors coming in.
Correct.
I'm saying by the Angels, they run the stand themselves. That's amazing. Is Big A Burger. I will die on that hill. Big A Burger, the best stadium cheeseburger I've had. And I've been to a lot of stadiums, a pretty good amount.
Yeah, you did have me with some of that Milwaukee food you were talking about, but that Big A burger is pretty good.
Yeah, I
I
mean, at
dig that
Wrigley
burger.
Field though, man, they have that Brost burger, the little cheeseburger with the brat on the inside. I remember
Oh,
seeing that, and I was like, "Oh, that what you're talking about?"
yeah, I thought
Okay,
because
okay.
I remember you were talking about the brat one, but I figured that was in Milwaukee, but I do remember you saying that you got that at Wrigley.
Yeah, no, at Milwaukee, what they had there was the Yelly melt, which was like a patty melt with like Swiss cheese or whatever. That was good.
Mm, you see,
Yeah.
we can have
Two
a whole.
very,
Oh, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say a very underrated ballpark,
Absolutely,
American Family Field or whatever they call it today.
formerly Miller Park. Yeah,
Yeah, everyone still calls it Miller Park.
we definitely have to do an episode now on food. I guarantee it.
Hey, I'm down. I'm down. We're gonna have a lot of empty room for content in February, so maybe we finally do it.
Yes, exactly.
And if you're going out of spring training this year, I need you to do a food update there.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely going to be in spring training. It's just I've got to make that one with Rob against Milwaukee, and then I want to try at least to go to a weekend series, 2 or 3 games right there. Try to get
Okay.
that out and get some interviews, but we'll see.
And then maybe if because remember, not the next day after they play Milwaukee, but the day afterward they play the Mariners. So you got to go see our boy Ty.
Yeah, I got to get in contact with him. You got to send me over his number at least or something where we
Yeah,
can
man, I'm
meet up and
sure
talk.
we can hook something up.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Fernando, if you got anything else, I think that's it for me.
That's it for me.
I
Thanks
think
everyone for tuning in.
yeah, we're printing those World Series tickets thanks to Aaron Hicks.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I didn't want to jinx it, which is why I didn't bring it up.
Well, that and Suarez is 2024 comeback player of the year.
Dude, well, but then Anthony Rendon wouldn't be comeback player of the year. So I mean, someone's gonna have to fall off the cliff. So we'll see who.
Exactly. That's his
It's gonna be
motivation.
like a back and forth, like in WWE, where like one guy punches and the other guy punches and the other guy. It's gonna be Suarez and Rendon.
Until
I'm
one
not a bitch. You're a bitch. You're a bitch.
yeah, until one falls off the ladder and then the other one grabs the belt. That's how it's gonna go.
Yeah, there you go. The one who grabs the belt all along was Adam Simber. That was the one who grabbed the belt. Comeback player of the year. Or
Yay.
Miguel Sano.
All right, we'll catch you guys on the flip side.
See you guys.